Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome children to your social science class. Today we are going to study chapter number 8, means of communication. Communication. All of us live in a society. We cannot survive in isolation. As social beings, we are members of the society and we are dependent on others. Most of the time we take help from others. For this, we like to keep in touch with our loved ones. We also convey our feelings, thoughts, ideas, requirements, experiences in such a way that others can understand them easily. So, how can we be in touch with our loved ones? Also, how can we convey our feelings to them? We can make phone calls, write letters, and send emails or chat on the computer or phone. All these activities of sharing or exchanging information or ideas and thoughts are known as communication. In other words, we can say that exchange of information is known as communication. Now, types of communication. There are mainly two types of communication: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. So first let's study about the verbal communication. Verbal communication. When we communicate using words, it is called verbal communication. Sometimes we talk to someone over the phone or face to face. This is called oral communication. Okay, so verbal communication means when we use words. Either we are talking to someone face to face or we are calling someone like over the phone. It is called oral communication. Okay. Now, discussions, speeches, presentations, telephonic conversations through satellites are different forms of oral communication. We also communicate by writing letters, emails, or text messages, right? We also use words to do all this means of this way of communication, right? We use words in for writing letters or emails. So this form of communication also uses words. It is called written communication. Okay, so in verbal communication we use words. When we use words to communicate our thoughts and feelings, that is called verbal communication. And in verbal communication, when we are talking or face to face with someone or over the phone, it is called oral communication. Okay, and when we write down the words, it is called written communication. Number two is non-verbal communication. Sometimes we express our thoughts and ideas through pictures or through different actions without using a single word. We communicate with others through pictures, facial expressions, gestures, and advertisement. In other words, we can say that non-verbal communication is often used to convey messages to others without using words. When we see a diagram or a picture, some messages is conveyed to us. The bell used in school to inform us about the beginning and the end of a particular period or a particular subject is also a form of communication. Any communication that requires the use of various body parts such as hands, eyes, head is known as gestural communication. For example, traffic police giving signals to control the traffic. Now, means of communication. There are different ways through which we communicate with each other. These are known as the means of communication. For example, we may use letters, talk to others over telephones or mobile phones, send telegram, and use various or modern machines like computers, fax machines, iPads, etc. to convey our messages. But in early times, the means of communication were different from the means of communication that we use in present times. The me- Let us learn about some early and new means of communication. That means in means of communication, we are going to study the two types of communication. The ones that were used in early times, okay, with the um, people who did not have the facilities like us, okay. And after that we are going to learn about the new means of communication, means the ways of communication that we use now, okay. So the first one is early means of communication. Early humans used signs or sounds of different types to communicate with each other. They communicated by beating drums or making different animal and bird sounds. In ancient times, people used to communicate by beating drums, blowing horns, flashing lights, sending smoke signals, or even by shouting. Later, pigeons were used as carriers of messages. The homing pigeons were specially trained to find their way home over a long distance. Messages were tied to the feet of the pigeon. Pigeons were used as messengers during the wars for for the military purposes. Now, sending smoke signal is also one of the oldest method of sending messages to a far off area. In this form of communication, puffs of smoke were sent into the air. The variation in the number of puffs changed the message. Now, the new means of communication. With the development of technology, means of communications have also changed and become quicker and more efficient. Postal system, telegraph, telephone, newspaper, internet, and email are different new means of communication by which we can easily send messages from one place to another. Now we'll study about the postal system, that one of the ways how we communicate nowadays. The postal system has developed over the years. From messengers who carried messages on foot and horseback, it has moved on to a system that uses the modern means of transport, such as aeroplanes and land transport. This method of communication is mostly used where other means are not easily available. We can get inland letters, postcards, and letters from the post offices, and then we can write messages in letters and post them. These letters are then carried by road, rail, water, or air transport to different places. Telegraph. Telegraph is a device that is used to send messages through electric wires. In this system of written communication, telegrams can be sent to far off places at a very high speed. Telephone. Nowadays, telephones are the fastest means of communication. We can talk to our near and dear ones in our own city, in another city, or even in other country through telephones. Long distance communication within the country can be made by STD facilities, that is subscriber trunk dialing, while international communication can be made through ISD, international subscriber dialing facilities. Cellular phones, the new and improved version of telephones. Cellular phones means the mobile phones that we use nowadays. These are widely used. It is easy to carry them as they are small and light. We can talk and also send SMS, short message service, through our cellular phones or mobiles. Mass media. Communication with a large section of people is possible through the newspaper, radio, or television. These means are known as mass media as they reach the mass. Mass means people. Okay, so the messages which we want to convey to people in common, like to more and more people, if we want to send a message, we use these types of communication: the newspaper, the radio, or the television. A newspaper gives us detailed information about events or happenings in the country as well as all over the world. Radio and television. They provide us important and latest news from every corner of the world. They also give daily weather forecast and live scores of cricket, hockey, football matches, etc. Besides this, they also update us with current affairs and other social issues. Now, satellite. The most modern and fastest means of communication is the satellite. Through the satellite, we can see the live telecast of different events happening in other parts of the world, such as cricket matches, etc. Satellite based communication is the basis of the internet. Like, satellite is the most basic thing through because of which we can use the internet. Okay, now internet and emails, you can get information about anything that you want through the internet. Email means electronic mail. It is a modern means of communication that works through the internet. Letters, messages, pictures, or even music can be shared through the internet. All these faster means of communications have helped to connect the people all over